This is The Flapper.
starring Olive Thomas. This was not her last film, but she died shortly thereafter at age 25 from accidentally ingesting mercury.
That was what intended to treat.
Well, that's debatable. It probably was like cleaning solution.
Mm,
No one really knows what happened, how exactly she accidentally ingested mercury solution, but Olive Thomas accidentally dying is sort of the first of a few sort of like early Hollywood scandals that eventually led to sort of people asking for censorship and leading to the Hays Code, which is the first sort of organized censorship of movies in America.
yeah, she was dating Mary Pickford's younger brother, Jack Pickford, who you must remember this host,
Karina Longworth.
Karina Longworth, called the Hunter Biden of
Of the 1920s.
The 1920s, which is very funny.
Yeah. So it felt like we should at least kind of pay due diligence to the fact that Olive Thomas was like a big star in this time period, and that like she's one of a number of people that are like famous for how they died, which always feels kind of unfair to who they probably were as people.
Yeah.
And also this movie is called The Flapper. It's released in 1920, so it has a sort of like cultural significance in that way of it's like,
Yeah.
this is what the youth was up to.
I mean, it's right at the dawn of flapperism.
Right.
And I don't know if it has too much to say about flapper culture, honestly.
It kind of doesn't.
I would not be surprised if this movie wasn't called The Flapper until after it was made.
Possibly, yeah. I do think this movie is a very interesting cultural object. It's much more interesting as a sort of cultural object than it is like as a movie.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like a teen comedy. It's like look at the hijinks the youth is getting up to at school.
Yeah. At Mrs. Paddle's School for Young Ladies.
Oh man, there was that other Mary Pickford movie that we watched that also had a very funny like women's boarding school name. Was it the Mary Pickford movie, or was it a?
Well, so this has a lot of
joint.
similarities with with Daddy Longlegs.
Yes,
the Mary Pickford movie. It involves a boarding like hijinks of a rowdy girl at a boarding school or an orphanage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It involves her falling for a much older guy,
mm-hmm.
And there being a love triangle once again with someone who's more her age. Does that happen in Daddy Long? Yeah,
it does, but it ends differently in Daddy Longlegs.
And I think that Olive Thomas is playing a Pickfordian character,
absolutely,
in this movie.
Yeah,
it's this kind of spunky young woman who is being played by someone in their mid-20s.
Yeah. Sort of yeah, I was gonna say Clifford style, but she's not playing like a 10-year-old. She's playing a teenager.
Right. And yeah, just getting into, I don't know, hijinks, whatever. And being kind of innocent, but a little edgy, and falling in love and all that kind of stuff.
Well, because Mary Pickford she plays like an act like a young child in Daddy Longlegs for the first bit where she like first goes to school. And I think even in that, it has a bit of a like Pen 15 vibe where it's like most of the other actors are like little kids, and then it's just Mary Pickford like walking around and like
she's youthful, but she's
with a
not
bow
a
in her hair. Yeah, but yeah. This is like it's part of a sort of subgenre, I think, of silent film, which is the like young women behaving badly movies. Like it reminded me a lot of Daddy Longlegs for sure, but also kind of reminded me of like the Ernst Lubitsch movies that we watched.
Yeah.
And I feel like Olive Thomas's performance reminded me, I think visually she looks kind of similar to Mary Pickford in sort of like how she's styled.
Mm-hmm.
But I think her performance also did remind me of Ossie Oswalda in the Lubitsch movies that we watched. Like she does a lot with sort of like barely controlled glee in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
And yeah, this movie isn't great, but it has its moments, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this movie underscores to me the subtle formal advancements that we've seen in these other movies,
Hmm.
because this feels like a movie from a couple years ago.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. This movie
it
feels old fashioned compared to a lot of the other ones we watched this year.
Yeah, it feels like it's made in a rougher way. It feels like it's like less well thought out than a lot of these other
Hmm.
movies, and it's fine. It's fun.
I'll say this
It's
about it: it's got some really good intertitles. Like
yes,
it has something we've seen a few times is it has like paintings as intertitle. Like it has text on screen, but they're part of this sort of like paintings featuring different imagery that sort of relate to what the scene is.
yeah, which was also done in High and Dizzy. This one reuses a few paintings, but High and Dizzy, like every single title card was a new painting that was like suggesting metaphorically what was happening in that
Yeah.
scene, which I think is brilliant. And I like the way it's used here too.
There's also a lot of funny writing in the intertitles, which is something that I don't really associate with like silent comedies. I think of like the slapstick and the stunts and things like that. But this has a lot of just like
Hmm.
very funny writing in like on-screen text. It's like the opening scene of the movie is in a town called Orange Springs, and it is described as, imagine a town where they didn't even have a saloon to close, referring to Prohibition.
And there you have Orange
Yeah.
Springs.
And then once Olive Thomas's character Ginger King is sent away to boarding school, there's an intertitle that says "Limbs of Satan from Old Family Trees," and then we cut to a bunch of legs, like women's legs.
They're also I mean, this is not intentionally funny, but the older man that she falls for, she's kind of like hanging out with all of the other teen girls, ogling ogling boys. They're just like, ooh. And there's an intertitle that says their favorite study was the human male. uh we love anatomy class, baby. So they said their favorite specimen was like a knight on a horse, and quote, they just knew he was notorious or very gay, perhaps an English lord.
This made it so romantic.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
That's just funny because it's old timey and because words mean different things now.
yeah. It's like, oh, he's so notorious and gay.
There's like a whole plot where like one of her fellow students is like plotting to steal jewels from the school.
which is the only introduction of the flapper elements, is that she kind of falls in with the bad crowd and like hangs out in New York City for a minute, and then like puts on some flapper gear.
Right. Her like classmates invite her to New York and try to kind of pin the theft of the jewels on her, and so they like leave town and kind of leave her with all the stolen loot. And she, instead of being freaked out by this, was just like, I'm just gonna wear all these jewels and then go back to my hometown and act like I'm rich.
There is a great scene when she arrives in New York, and she's on like a double-decker bus, and there's a guy hitting on her, and he goes, "Hello, peaches and cream, whither bound?"
You telling me that line didn't work? Yeah, when she gets all dressed up in her kind of jewelry and flapper gear, it's referred to in the intertitles as her vampire outfit, which I think is pretty funny. And she says, "I shall probably become a dope fiend." There is a really funny intertitle thing where towards the end of the movie, when the sort of like all the sort of like secrets are sort of being revealed and everyone's finding out things about each other, and there's the sort of crime couple that has been in the margins of the story, and they kind of walk in on people discussing their crimes, and they immediately turn around and leave, and the intertitle itself kind of like flips, like optically flips around.
Yeah.
Which is very fun.
They do some fun stuff with intertitles in this movie. In addition to that and the paintings, there's like a scene where her and her age appropriate boy go skiing off a ramp, and then there is this card that flies from the background. It goes wee, so it animates toward the screen in a way that's like suggesting the motion, which I thought was neat.
Yeah.
I like that.
I thought there was some interesting use of kind of like I don't know, just like hairstyling. Like in the beginning of the movie, Olive Thomas's character has sort of like very like 1910s style, like Mary Pickford hair, like the long curls. And then as she kind of like gets drawn into the you know the seedier life of being a flapper, she kind of puts her hair up in a sort of like shorter, like more 1920s looking style, and then it returns back again because, like all these women behaving badly movies, they have to kind of return to domesticity at the end.
Which is this still a thing today?
I mean, true, but I don't know, I just thought that was interesting how it's sort of like her hairstyle changes, like reflecting sort of her character arc, I guess.
Yeah.
Not much else to say about that one. It's kind of just like a fun-ish, like diverting comedy. It is definitely, I think, like you said, it's a sign of kind of, you can see how almost outmoded it is when it was released. It's sort of like, it feels like a 1910s movie, whereas like I feel like a lot of the other movies that we watched from this year feel distinct from the 1910s stuff that we've watched. Like it feels like they're really trying a lot of new things, whereas this one is like, oh, it's one of these again.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the one other connection that we could make about this movie is that you know, it's not really clear where cultures come from. You can't really come up with like a super compact and easy way of describing that, but flapper culture is something that like basically only exists in the 1920s. It's like from around the time this movie came out until the stock market crash in 1929.
It's like,
and like
exactly 10
that
years.
is like the era of like excess and opulence. And at least what I was reading about flappers really sees it as another response to World War One, of these people kind of embracing hedonism and sex and drinking in speakeasies as a response to, you know, the way the world just fell apart a few years earlier.
Yeah, it's like, we're all gonna die anyway, we might as well enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie doesn't really talk too much about flappers. I'm interested to see if there is a movie that like involves the culture of flappers a bit more directly.
Yeah.